Hi, Attorney Steve Vondran here, licensed to practice law in California and Arizona. We're talking about DRE defense. We're talking about investigations and accusations, desist and refrain orders. Now, there's a lot of activity going on right now with the California Department of Real Estate in regards to collecting advance fees, trust accounting issues, and whatnot. SB 94 is also coming onto the forefront in regards to certain brokers that took advance fees in violation of SB 94. Those of you who don't know, SB 94 was a law that was passed in October 11, 2009 to prevent the collection of advance fees prior to the performance of all the services that a broker or even an attorney would contract to perform. So SB 94 is out there on the landscape as an issue that the State Bar and the Department of Real Estate are looking at. Okay? Again, SB 94 prevents and prohibits the collection of advance fees for loan modification or loan forbearance services prior to completing each and every service the person represented they would perform. So SB 94 is something that may come up in a DRE audit. Now, that's October 2009. In December 2010, the Federal Trade Commission passed the MARS rule, and that stands for the Mortgage Assistant Relief Services. That's a law that also prohibits the collection of advance fees. And this law exempts attorneys, but only if attorneys are complying with the state law. So for an attorney to be exempt here, they have to be complying with the state law here. If an attorney is not complying with this law, then they're in violation of both. For DRE brokers, the SB 94 is the critical question. Were you accepting advance fees prior to performing all the services you were professing that you were going to perform and representing you were going to perform after October 2009? So this is some of the issues that may come up in a DRE audit. Basically, in a DRE audit, it's a very simple process. If the DRE thinks you were doing something wrong, and many times these are driven by a complaint, people calling up the Department of Real Estate saying, these guys took $2,500, $3,500, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. I asked for a refund, I didn't get it, or I got a partial refund, or I never got any notification as to what was what, or they did the services horribly, they misrepresented their services. Those are the kinds of things we see. Basically, the way the process works is usually the DRE will start with an initial audit. They may start with a telephone call to you wanting to do something over the phone and talk about, did you take advance fees? Did you have an advance fee agreement? These sort of things. They may want to come out to your place of business and review your records. They may want to see what you have. Do you have your corporation status? Do you have your articles of incorporation? Do you have your DBAs? Do you have your independent contractor agreements? Do you have your salesperson licenses in your possession, the original license? Do you have those? They may want to come out and audit you. Okay, so here's where you may get some calls, and we will have some brokers say, hey, I'm being audited, should I hire an attorney? It's up to you. Sometimes you'll ask people at DRE and they'll tell you, you don't really need an attorney here. But sometimes it's good to talk to an attorney and tell them what's going on. If you've done some things wrong, it's maybe a good time to talk to your attorney and say, look, here's what happened. I got an advance fee agreement around this date, and they're researching me regarding this. I didn't have an advance fee at this date. You have to remember that a violation of SB 94 is actually a misdemeanor. I mean, there's actually a criminal component to that. Now, don't take that lightly. There's actually a criminal component to that, to where if you were accepting advance fees after this law was passed without an approved, advance fee agreements were out the door after October 2009, but if you were accepting advance fees in violation of SB 94, I mean, this is a potential misdemeanor. We have yet to see a whole lot of prosecutions actually occurring, but I have heard through reliable sources that referrals are possible from the Department of Real Estate off to the Attorney General, or whatnot, different district attorneys. So you have to take this whole process kind of serious. I think it's important, if you think there's an issue at hand, to get an attorney, get them involved here, or her, get them involved, tell them what's going on, and help chart out a strategy to respond. You definitely want to respond in a responsive way to the Department of Real Estate. If you're engaging in licensed activity, they have a right to come and audit the books. But you want to have and formulate a plan, look over what you've done, and be thinking about potential settlement opportunities if they're present. But this is a very, very important issue to keep in mind. So that's the audit stage. I think it's good to have an attorney at this stage. And next I'm going to say, after this, typically what happens during the audit stage is if there's a problem, it usually moves to what they call an accusation. Okay, an accusation. And an accusation is essentially a written complaint. It's a document filed by the Department of Real Estate that says you have violated certain sections of the California real estate law or the commissioner regulations. You've accepted advance fees. Now at this stage on the audit, they'll probably be wanting to look at your books and your trust accounting and see if you violated the trust account rules. You know, some detailed rules that need to be followed. So they're probably going to want to take a look and see if you followed all the rules. If you haven't, they're going to file an accusation saying can't balance a trust account, misrepresenting clients, accepting advance fees in violation of SB 94. These are some of the things you might see. Having an unlicensed DBA. There's a lot of companies out there, we see this a lot. They're running some company that they didn't believe was a licensed activity. They thought they could just do loan modification. So this is something that you have to see. So this accusation has to be responded to. Again, you don't have to have an attorney, but I think most people would agree if you end up at this stage, it's nice to have an attorney reviewing your case. We can set a notice of defense, we can set a hearing, we can obtain the discovery and review it, and we can try to negotiate a settlement prior to having to actually go to a hearing. I mean, that would make sense, right? That's pretty much what most people want to do. But with an attorney, we can help you formulate your objectives here, respond to the DRE in a meaningful way here, respond to the accusation and the charges. Sometimes these charges are vague and ambiguous, sometimes they're not substantiated, sometimes you flat out disagree with the things they're saying. Because remember, there's two sides to every story. The DRE, the Department of Real Estate, is usually only getting one side of the story, so it's our job to say both sides. We all know there's two sides to a story. So to help you out there in the accusation, and if all else fails, you're going to have a hearing, a discipline hearing in regards to your license, and that's in front of the Office of Administrative Hearings, what we call the OAH. It's an administrative hearing in front of an administrative law judge in regards to your license, your activities, in regards to the accusations. And certainly, most people would be 100% positive, got to have a lawyer represent you here. It's not mandatory, but the old saying is only a fool, somebody who represents himself has a fool for a client. So this is kind of a short thing. The only other thing that sometimes pop up is you have a desist and refrain letter in here somewhere, what we call DNR, desist and refrain. Sometimes they want you to stop doing certain activities. Again, lots of times we would end up disputing this and holding that hearing, consolidating this hearing with that hearing. So if you need a lawyer to represent you, Steve Vondran, I'm licensed practice law in California and Arizona. Look forward to meeting you and working with you on your defense. My number, if you need to reach me, is 877-276-5084. That's 877-276-5084. You can find me on DRE Defense Attorney. And other than that, thank you for your time, and we'll do everything we can to fight for you. That's what we do.